Alright, so today we're going to be flying the Dart 250 once again. Just to follow up on the last video, some of the issues I had with it holding altitude and kind of diving down and climbing back up over and over, kind of porpoising, I guess would be the right term to use for it. But the thing it was doing while loitering at waypoint, or safe home position in that case yesterday, hopefully we've alleviated that with some of the changes. Basically what I did was move the control linkages out one hole on the servo arms to mechanically give it more through. And I also adjusted the clevises so that the servos or the surfaces are trimmed while the servos are centered at 1500 microseconds. Basically doing all I can with the airplane physically, mechanically, tuning it and setting it up right. So it should be a little bit closer with INAV having to do less work basically. And I also changed the mixer. By default it's 50-50 on pitch and roll. I changed it so that we have 40% weight on roll and 60% of the mix on pitch, so that the pitch angle is going to be a little bit more positive between giving it a heavier weight in the mix as well as mechanically raising those throws. We're going to basically take off and fly. I've changed waypoint. Instead of being able to run a mission, with the waypoint mode, I've changed that to a loiter, or position hold, I think is the right term for INAV, to basically just hold a position when I trigger that. So we're just going to fly out and start loitering around some random waypoints. We're just going to switch into loiter mode and let it hold a position and see how it manages its altitude. And if we have time, we'll also do an auto tune and then do that same test some more. Let it loiter a position or hold a position, loiter a random point, and see if it does any better or worse. I say if we have time because you can see here I'll turn on my radar. I have my weather radar up on my other screen here. You can see we're right at this little blue dot right in the center. And if I zoom out, you can see we're kind of between two storms right now. And there's a wall of rain basically moving in. There's a little tropical system out there that's kind of pulling moisture into the area. And the wind is starting to pick up a little bit. You can see the blades of grass moving around on the FPV feet there. It's not terribly windy on the ground, but I imagine it is a little bit gusty up high. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get the flight started, and I'll be back with you in just a bit. Alright, so we're in the air, we're flying. I'm flying in cruise mode. It's supposed to be holding altitude, but I already noticed it is seems to be kind of losing a little bit of altitude and regaining it. It's not really dead set on a given altitude, but it is rather windy, and I'm honestly not sure if it's probably going to have to retrim those servos. Like I said, I did move the linkages as well as adjusted the clevises, kind of manually trimmed them and reset the servo midpoints to 1500 microseconds. So we'll just kind of cruise around right here in cruise mode for a minute and let it reset that board level and retrim the servos. And again, today is probably not the absolute most ideal conditions to do this stuff in, but I wanted to get it in the air while I have a chance. The weather is so unpredictable right now this time of year. It's hard to really plan, make plans to fly on any certain day or whatever. But yeah, it does seem to be settled down now. Everything seems to be trimmed and realigned and all like it should be. It's holding its altitude. quite well actually. And of course, as I say that, it starts losing a few feet, but it's jumping right back up to where it should be. But it does feel pretty good right now in cruise mode. Go ahead and gain a bit of altitude. And again, I'm doing this in cruise mode, just pulling full back stick or full up elevator. Let's get up to about 200 or so feet, I guess. Would be a nice round number. Now I've released the stick and it's still wanting to climb. I'm gonna go ahead and get back to angle mode. See how it feels here. Everything feels good. You can actually see one of those storms that I showed you on the radar right over here. Directly ahead of us right now. It's dumping a lot of rain out there. And if we look back over in this direction, it's probably not going to show up. It's still pretty far out there, but it is moving in pretty quick. So let's get back up to about 200 or so. Try to settle this right on 200. I'm actually pushing the nose down and still climbing. There may be actually some lift going on out here because it is mid-afternoon and there's a lot of heat. It's like 104 degrees, I think, right now on the thermometer. So there's going to be a lot of ground heating and probably some thermal activity and stuff going on. It's pretty rough out here. I mean, you can kind of see it. I'm fighting it. But yeah, we'll try to get this locked on. We'll trigger cruise mode right there at about 200 feet. So that's about where we want to be. And then we're going to just kind of fly out here. I guess this good a spot as any. So let's go ahead and trigger loiter. We triggered that at 200 feet. And now we're already losing a little bit of altitude, but it is recovering. We just want to see we're back up a little bit over that 200 now, and now you can see it's starting to push the nose back down. It's wanting to hold right at 200, but it's porpoising a little bit, but nowhere near as bad as it was on the previous flight. So at this point, I'm just going to let it keep doing this and see how well it does or how bad it does. But right now everything seems to be working fine. I'm not noticing any real major horizon drift or anything like that. It is starting to oscillate a bit though. You see we're pushing the nose back now. Now the artificial horizon is a little bit below the actual horizon. But it quickly climbs back up and recovers. And now you see it's actually diving pretty steep when it comes back down around here. So yeah, whatever was going on before is still present, I think. And this is before auto-tune, so that's why I wanted to test this all before auto-tune, just to see if it was something with the way it was tuning or if there's something else going on. And I do believe there is something else going on because the problem is still there. See, we're right down to 150 feet now, 147 and 46. And we're supposed to be holding 200 feet. So we can switch back to, let's go to cruise. Let's just go straight into cruise. And let's just see what it does. If it'll hold, you know, a pretty decent heading, which it is, even though the horizon is drifted a bit, it is countering that. It is, you know, it knows what heading we want it on, and it is holding that heading. And altitude does seem a lot more stable in cruise mode. So that rules out a few things that we thought it might be. I thought it might be a lack of control surface throw, as far as with the servos and linkages set up and everything, but seeing this now, I don't think that's the case. I still don't think it's necessarily the classic Horizon drift issue, because the Horizon isn't really drifting other than while it's actually loitering, but it quickly recovers. And it's still not the same type of drift that I had seen earlier. So either there's something weird going on in the flight controller firmware, or there's one other suggestion that Mark made. There may be some resonant vibration in the airframe. But it's hard to say, really.
Acro mode.
So we're just going to fly acro for a bit and see how the airplane flies. Again, this is all on the stock tune. I reloaded all the stock feed forward and rates back to what the stock values were before we did the auto tune. Now, some of this may actually improve after we do an auto tune, but based on what I'm seeing right now, I don't think it's clearly not resulting from the auto tune, and I don't think the auto tune should be tasked with having to solve that problem. I would rather I find out where the actual problem lies and correct it myself. Auto-tune is supposed to tune your feed forward and your rates so that iNav knows how to fly your airplane. It's not supposed to cover problems, to mask issues with the way the airplane flies in the first place. Yeah, I guess we're going to go ahead and make this one short and just go ahead and put the airplane back on the ground. We've only been flying for like 10 minutes now, but it is getting bumped around pretty good in the wind. That's the only reason I don't really want to do the auto-tune right now anyway, because I would rather have a smoother day to do it. You see, it's actually really smooth at the moment right where I'm at, but then you'll start getting rocked around. It's like these weird little unpredictable wind gusts is kind of what we're dealing with out here. So and you can kind of see them hitting the airplane now, but it's doing a pretty good job of smoothing those out. There's another bird up there we can go visit. He's actually making pretty good speed here. And there he's going to peel off, as they always do. Pretty cool. Alright, we'll leave him alone, let him do his thing. And we're going to get back and land. And that was pretty neat little encounter with the bird there at the end of the flight. And I think we learned some more about, well, we didn't really learn more about what is going on, what the problems are, but we learned more about what the problems are not. So I think that's just as valuable. So from this point, I'm not sure what to do to correct it, but like I said, I will need to do an auto-tune on a smoother day and just kind of see where it ends up from there. But the airplane seems to fly fine on the stock tune, stock rates, and feed forward values. So I will take the time to thank you all for watching the video as always. And I apologize, this one's pretty short and to the point. Some of you may actually appreciate that, but I know a lot of you do like the longer, drawn out videos, but it is what it is. I just want to beat the wind, beat the rain rather, beat the weather and get back on the ground. And decent landing. Go ahead and disarm.
Disarmed.
And I don't know, any questions, comments, suggestions on what to do? Maybe drop them below the video. Had some really good input on the last one in the comments, so if you want to go read that, read through it. Some of you actually reported seeing the same issues I have on this one. It's pretty interesting stuff. Maybe we'll learn something. I know I am every time I fly it, so Thank you for watching this one, and keep an eye out for what's to come. See you in the next ones.